We're bringing students from all around the world to come and visit Saudi Arabia for a 9-day educational program. I'm really passionate about this project simply because I think there's a big misunderstanding and misconception about the country, and I think when people actually come and visit Saudi, they realize there's so much more to it, and it's so different to what you read in mass media and all the fake news that's out there about the country, that experiencing Saudi firsthand is the best way really to really get to know it. One of the most exciting things to watch is the interaction between local Saudi students or local Saudi families with international students, and seeing how they interact with one another, and the joy they have and the questions that they get to ask, and really get a better understanding of the people. I was quite nervous when on my first visit to Saudi Arabia. I'd obviously read things in the media and didn't know what to expect. Particularly, I was worried I was going to offend somebody, or not dress correctly, or not be covered properly. But it was pretty relaxed actually when I arrived, and people are so incredibly friendly. They welcomed me with open arms, and the hospitality has just been incredible since the very first time I came. Every single time I come, people are extremely welcoming.
Melika's preliminary perception of Saudi Arabia is widely spread, and we wanted to test that theory, so we asked the students participating in this trip to share their true feelings on coming to Saudi Arabia.
I think Saudi Arabia in Australia is perceived as obviously somewhere quite foreign to us, somewhere quite different to, you know, the way that we live in our culture. I guess it's just a foreign country that sort of operates in a different way to what we do.
People perceive it as being a very valuable regional player in the Middle East, but also are pretty critical of the role that it's had in regional conflicts. Among people who have less knowledge about international affairs, I think that their perceptions of Saudi range from that it's very mysterious, they don't really know much about it, to being a little bit afraid and unsure of its safety.
There honestly isn't a perception because people don't know. They just think, oh, it's in the Middle East, maybe? No one really knows.
I think, considering that I live in the South, there's a lot of common misconceptions about Saudi Arabia, and most of them tend to be negative. I think people think there's a lot of terrorism in Saudi Arabia, and that people aren't hospitable or welcoming.
Some people view Saudi Arabia as an important regional ally, while others are concerned with the country's possible links to terrorism and what they view as the oppression of women.
I would say it's largely seen as a partner of the United States in the Middle East, and other than what you see on TV or read in the news, there's not too much other coverage of the country around here. It doesn't really pop up that much in discussion.
It's really hard to say. We don't hear much about it. Maybe because it's like a closed country for visitors, so Brazilians don't talk much about it, so we only know what we hear, like on TV, like news and stuff. If you ask to Brazilian about Saudi Arabia, maybe they just have like a little bit of prejudice about all the things that happen in the Middle East, like safety and terrorism, that kind of stuff. And they probably think about like it's a wealthy country, because we also know that it's a wealthy country. So we don't know much about it. That's the truth.
I think we don't have a lot of knowledge about Saudi Arabia. I mean, we have some news about politics or oil, but we don't know much about the culture because it's really different from ours. And since it's not a very touristic place either, like Dubai, for example, we don't know much about Saudi Arabia.
Quite close country, so we don't really know what is happening there and what we can expect there, and it's often promoted by journalists and TVs, and so we don't really know clearly what is really happening there, so we don't have a clear idea about the country.
The thing that I'm most worried about when visiting the country is sort of the fear that I will offend someone or do something that's considered offensive over there, but to me might seem completely normal.
I'm kind of worried about not being able to speak the language and what that's going to be like.
Honestly, I'm worried about customs. I've heard such horror stories about people getting things confiscated or just other things happening that are not very fun or savory, so that's what I'm worried about. It's also been a while since I've taken Arabic. I studied abroad in Jordan, so just worried about my Arabic not being up to par and feeling guilty about it, because after 3 years I should know more than I probably do, but that's okay.
I'm excited to visit the birthplace of Islam because I am fairly passionate about Islamic studies, but of course I'm also concerned about being introduced to a foreign culture which is very different from what I'm used to and that I'm not accustomed to.
Since I visited other times, I know that it's not like as dangerous people say, and I really like the whole region. So I think the only thing we should be worried about when we travel there, maybe it's just safety.
Probably how I'm gonna be treated as a woman, because we hear a lot about how different it is for women and men, how there are different entrances at public places, how women can't talk to men, and I'm not sure I'm gonna follow the rules correctly.
The main thing I'm worried about coming to Saudi Arabia is the security. As you know, I live in Paris and we were a victim of some big attacks a few years ago, so security is always my main wonder when I'm traveling abroad.
So we have a jam-packed schedule, a program that is designed to take the students on a 9-day educational trip, allowing them to explore Saudi Arabia from a cultural, political, educational and economical perspective. So let the trip begin.